Hey, hey. Wait, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to wait. I don't think anyone can hear me. Let me see. Okay, can anyone hear me? Hopefully you can. Um, let's see. There's a lot going on right now. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue with this live chat or not, but I'm hearing an echo. This happened last time. Can you guys hear me okay? This happened last time, so I don't know. It's so annoying. Okay, I don't know. Hi, Rodolin. Or is it Rodolin? Nice to see you. I think you're new. I don't know if you guys, hopefully, you guys can see me right now. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Rodolin, you said you didn't hear an echo. You could hear me. Okay, can you still hear me? Because I just did something. I'm like, why is it? I feel like it's always on Fridays. Anyway. So I don't expect this to be like a long live chat. I was just looking at something and it was interesting because it really it really makes me feel like we're fighting the same battles that we have been fighting since almost the beginning of time in this country. And I'm gonna pull up something just to make my point. I wasn't planning on really doing this topic a while back, but when I saw this, I was just like, it's like we're fighting this thing over and over as a black woman in this country. So I'm gonna pull up "Ain't I a Woman" by Sojourner Truth. Some of the things that she said it just resonated with me, so I want to share. Let me just make sure before I start sharing that you can even see me, you can hear me. Oh, Rhoda, okay. New subby. Okay, awesome. So you can hear me. Perfect. Hey, OG, welcome. Okay, let me see if I can pull up this article. I have so many tabs open all the time. Really bad habit. We're going to work on that. We're going to try to work on that this year. Okay, so let me pull this over so I can see it. All right. Hey, Jaden, welcome. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you here too often either. So let me share this. There's no audio that I'm sharing tonight, so that's the great thing about it. So, gosh. So this is a continuation of the conversation I had yesterday, more so about me thinking through why is it that it seems like black women and black men can't get along, and why is it that I can continue as a black woman to get hate pushed towards me, hateful words and things pushed towards me, both in person and online, coming from men that share my same skin tone. However, a lot of the rhetoric in the community is that I should be afraid of white men. So it it bothers me because it's just not naturally I don't believe that that is what should be happening. When you go onto YouTube, when you go onto online spaces, black men pushing hate against black women and black women therefore pushing hate against black women, it should not be happening. But it is. And so I've been wondering why. What is going on? And why is it that it seems like we as black women are continuing the same fight? Like we're still, it's a struggle, right? So I'm going to pull this up. I don't know if you can really see this, so I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger. Oh, maybe that's a little bit too big. So thinking about the life or Sojourner Truth. So we're going back into the 1800s. This is a woman who wasn't even able to marry the man that she actually loved because she had no rights. She was a slave. And so she was forced to bear children with a slave named Thomas. So I'm just going to start there. Because there's a lot of conversations that happen and we talk about, you know, the trauma that black men have gone through. But here's the thing. Yes, black men have gone through a lot, but who has been right along with them this whole time? So we're learning about Sojourner Truth and her predicament. Not only is it an enslavement of her body as far as actually having to do the work, the same as the black man slaves, but also not even having the right to her own body. So she is forced to marry a slave named Thomas, with whom she had 5 children. So I want to start there just because of the, going back to another video I did where I'm talking about black male privilege, which was a checklist that was created by a black man. There's a lot of privilege that black men have just for being a man. And I don't think there's enough discussion about what black women suffer through. And so I want to start there. There is this double effect for us where we are punished for being black and also punished for being a woman. And the sad thing is, it's still happening today. So back then, in the 1800s, it was happening in a different way, but it's still happening even today. We're still having discussions, we're still getting attacks verbally and physically because of our bodies and this want to control our bodies, right? As a woman, generally, women get this, but especially within the black community. So that's one point. And we're not even talking about the R-ing that happened to the women, because we could be talking about that, but in this case, Sojourner Truth, she was forced to bear children with someone she didn't love. Okay, so moving on. So she gives a speech, Ain't I a Woman? So I want to kind of walk through this speech with you guys. It's been a day or two since I've read it myself, but again, that's what sparked this conversation. Hopefully you all are still able to hear me. Let me do a little check beforehand. Hey, oh, you love it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's start reading through here. So, well, children, where there is so much racket, there must be something out of kilter. I think that twixt the Negroes of the South and the women at the North, all talking about rights, the white men will be in a fix pretty soon. But what's all this here talking about, is what she's starting it off with. That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? And I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen most all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman? So I want to pause there. And I might get emotional, so I might have to keep this short. But in this statement, what I hear, and I would love to hear what other folks get from this. So if you're watching a replay, folks in the chat, let me know. This is a woman that is seeing this fight, you know, the women's rights movement, the women's suffrage movement, right? However, these women have advantages they can see. The white women of her time, they have these advantages. Their men are helping. So she says that man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place, and ain't I a woman? So we're women, and there are privileges for being a woman as well. But is it the same for a black woman? It doesn't seem like it was back then, of course, and it doesn't seem like it is now. So we're still fighting the same battle. We're seeing these privileges that certain women have and black women do not have. Meanwhile, she also says, I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns. And we talked about on another video where I looked at the stats of black women, and it was at about 82% of black women as breadwinners. So black women work. And during this time, they worked by force, right? Right alongside the men. And I want you to think about that, because there's another piece of this that is really, it might make you think. So she goes on. They talk about this thing in the head. What's this they call it? Intellect. That's it, honey. What's that got to do with women's rights or Negroes' rights? If my cup won't hold but a pint and yours holds a quart, wouldn't you be mean not to let me have my little half measure full? Then that little man in black there, he says, women can't have as much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman. Where did your Christ come from? Where did your Christ come from? From God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with him. Okay, so I want to pause there because I have done another video where I talk about the black church. And first of all, I don't think the black church does much for the black community in general, because look, a lot of money funneled into the black churches, but what is going on in the black communities? Not every single black church, but generally speaking. But when it comes to religion and looking at women, this is still the mindset today. Not many women are running churches. Not many, when you look at a black church, there's plenty of women there, but who's in the leadership? Black men. This same thinking, women can't have much rights as men because Christ wasn't a woman, so Jesus is what they're saying. So using religion to say you as a woman shouldn't have rights. What really has changed then to today? Even if you want to look at the religion. So sometimes, you know, looking at things like this, and I wasn't planning to talk about it, I kind of stumbled across it. I was wanting to look up some things about Sojourner Truth just because I was trying to learn for myself. And I stumbled across this, and reading through this really got to me because it really just makes me feel like, what are we fighting for, right? If we, as Black women, looking at Sojourner Truth, what she's saying can still apply to 2021, even within our own community. So she says, if the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back, get it right side up again. And now they is asking to do it. The men better let them. Obliged to you for hearing me, and now old Sojourner ain't got nothing more to say. So that's what she stated. And the main points that I want to call out for her: the history of her life, not having control over her own body in so many ways that a man would never know. Then also having to be shown that yes, you can be working right alongside these men, and you can go see the privileges that other women have. And this is what she's fighting for. What privilege do Black people have? So, or Black women have. Okay. And yet we're in this society that, as a Black woman, I can be told by my own men, you're too dark, you're all types of B words for just existing. Just today, this happened. I did a video where I commented on other comments. I probably will do another one. I just really don't see there being a lot of change right now. Because when I come online, when I see just in general in the community, just observing people, Black women aren't unified, the Black community isn't unified. The same struggles that she's going through being a Black woman in the 1800s, we literally are still dealing with today. There is use of religion to hold Black women down in particular. There's also a use of religion to keep a certain mentality of Black people in general, both men and women. And then when you think about Black women in general, they're still working hard, still underpaid, less paid than other women, and they're still not treated or upheld by the men, as she is saying. Again, I'll repeat. That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages. So they need to be helped. Let's look at the verbs here. They need to be helped into carriages. So they need to be helped. They need to be lifted over ditches. They need to be lifted. And to have the best place everywhere. Do we even see that? No, we don't. Not even by our own men. And I shouldn't even say our own men, but not even by men within the Black community, is what I should say. Hopefully you guys can still see and hear me. It's like on my end in the studio, it's all black where I am, so I don't know what you're saying. I'm trying to stay a little lighthearted because it's tough. It's tough, especially to come online. I saw a lot of stuff happening with one YouTube creator and Black women attacking other Black women. And it's just like, we have so much already almost working against us. I just really wish that that could be the one thing that we could come together on, because there should be no reason, again, in the 1800s, we're looking at things that we are still dealing with today. Easy as saying, I'm an educated man veteran. I've been to night jobs, 3 strikes against me. If I get interviewed for a job, they check your credit record. Okay, so here's something I do want to point out, Easy. For this video, I really am highlighting more so Black women. I'm really wanting to highlight the struggle that Black women have and highlight the fact that I shouldn't say we, I don't necessarily speak for all women. I will say from my own experience, I am, especially lately, not feeling very supported by Black men in the community in certain ways. Not saying in every way. There are certain men that are very supportive. But it's like for every man that is supportive, there's like 4 that are trying to break you down in some way. I don't know if I'll leave this video up, but it's like you just need an outlet where you can express these issues and have someone that can understand them. Not necessarily bring up like, hey, these are my issues as a Black man. Like, I get that. I think the full Black community, even those outside the community, I think people understand that. What I want to highlight in this video is I don't think that people really understand what Black women have gone through just within this country, just within the United States. So I am sorry for, issues that you've dealt with. However, I really am not, and it could be just everything that I've been seeing lately. It really gets to me emotionally when I am seeing just the back and forth sometimes. So I don't know, it's kind of getting to me a little bit today, but that's really what I wanted to bring. I'm not going to be on here too long, but I really want to start having some discussions where I am focused specifically on Black women, because I do try to be balanced when I'm talking about different issues and I'm giving advice. All of that, I try to look at general people, not just Black communities, right? I try to provide things for everyone, right? And drive conversations for everyone. I also try to drive conversations about the Black community and try to be as balanced as I can as a Black woman. Of course, I'm going to be very much impartial to Black women when it comes to different issues, because I am one, and I do know that there's privileges based on your gender and privileges based on your race, privileges based on obviously your social status, or your socioeconomic status rather. But I really do think there needs to be more spaces for Black women to be heard, and for the men within the community to almost just listen, not to say you're going to fully understand, but just listen and be supportive, right? Carter's eat, hey, hi, nice to see you. And you're saying, indeed. Easy is saying, Blacks are divided on all levels and divided on any subject matter. We treat each other like animals but want respect. Here's the thing I will say. I don't think the division is something that is solely for the Black community. Every group is divided. Like, there's so many things that divide us as people, it's ridiculous. You have the religion, you have the politics, right? You have what area did you grow up in? What school did you go to? All of these different things that causes divide among people in general. Definitely easy, even more so in the Black community. And I think a part of it is just, one, we're dealing with so many issues, including higher poverty rates in our community, which we know money doesn't answer everything, but it can answer a lot of things, right? Especially if you know how to manage it right. Resources, lacking resources in our communities, and history of trauma that has been done to us and continues to happen to us. So yeah, definitely a lot of division in general, but specifically within our groups, for sure. Rodlin said, for my observation, a lot of Black American men are suffering from a sickness called self-hatred. Yes, and I talked about that in the video I did yesterday. We literally listened to a study from NPR where men are talking about their experience, and specifically this feeling that they have to be apologetic to be in certain spaces with white people, that they have to, you know, show that they're not a threat, show that they're not dangerous because their blackness, right, and their maleness tied together is a threat. And within that, we heard specifically a guy saying, we looked at an article too, so I may be in between whether it was the article through the Guardian, which was from a Black man, and the NPR audio snippet where we heard Black men talking. And yeah, it the whole point of that video, you heard the hate, you heard the disgust even, and it was tied to Blackness. Not saying that it's not the same for Black women, but one man said, like, you could feel the hate, you could feel it, you could feel the tension, you could feel he said something along the terms of I wish I had it. I'm gonna find it because I don't want to misquote. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put a little music on for a second, but don't go anywhere. I'm gonna come right back because I don't want to misquote. Okay, so I'm back. One of the quotes was, one man was explaining that he had a disgust for themselves. He thinks that Black men had a disgust for themselves, but it was more about what they were unable to accomplish or the things that they had failed to do, right? So that was one thing that stood out to me. There were some other things within that snippet that really, it gives you an insight into the issues that they deal with that actually, as a woman, myself as a Black woman, I don't have to deal with, right? But it also gave me the idea of like, okay, well, if you're dealing with this hate and you're struggling with all of this, because yes, it is tough being a Black person. And I mean, throughout the world, but especially in the United States. What do you do with that? What do you do with those emotions? What do you do with if it is in fact hate for some Black men? They're hating their Blackness. They wouldn't have to. One man said he wouldn't have to. Maybe he wouldn't have to deal with all of this if this other Black guy or these other Black people wouldn't have done this, or they didn't dress this way, or they didn't act this way, right? So those are some of the things that kind of came up. But what happens to that hatred is what I was bringing up in that video. It has to go somewhere. So if that Black man is going back to a home and bringing it to a Black woman, now it's with the Black woman. Now she has to take it somewhere, because I do fully believe that the energy, it has to go somewhere. It doesn't just go away. So that's something else that I do feel like for Black women, it's something we've been dealing with, not only our issues, but also I try to look at some of the things that have come towards me from Black men, and it's crazy because it hasn't been other groups, right? Direct, just direct what seems like hateful words, right? And it's like I don't know if it's my womanness or my Blackness, right? What is it? But I try to look at it as it's not me. It's something that you're dealing with. The fact that you have to call me a bed witch, or you have to call me a B word and I'm just over here existing, or in some cases actually saying good words to another Black person, and in some cases a Black man, even still it garners hatred. So I'm like, where is this hatred going? Well, clearly if you have hate for yourself, you're going to direct that somewhere else. And that's another thing that Black women are dealing with. And I can only imagine what Black women during Sojourner Truth's time, 1800s, right, were dealing with. So they're getting the lashes, as she's stating here. She's right alongside with these men, not getting the benefits of being a woman, not being helped in the carriages, lifted over ditches, having the best place everywhere, as this man is saying that women should have. No, no one, she's saying nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? So why am I not getting the advantages of being a woman, right? She's saying I plowed and planted and gathered into barns and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? So she's doing the work. Seemingly the same thing that you see today, where certain Black women are complaining that they're like, I'm overworked, I'm doing everything, I need help. Why can't these women get help? And in the meantime, you're hearing men say, well, if you were more feminine, or I would protect you if you were this and that. Well, your hair is this, or all of these different excuses. But if you take away my hair, if you take away anything on me, I am still physically a woman. You're still a woman. Why does any of that matter? I don't know. Hey Sharky, welcome. Nice to see you. I don't know if I have any moderators in here, but I know King of Kill is in here, so you can maybe be my moderator. Are you a moderator, King of Kill? Rodolin, yes, classism, colorism, etc. We want to discuss racism, but not the others. Thank you, Rodolin. Exactly. In our community, it's like it's solely on racism. And it's like, well, there are other issues, and there are specifically other issues that are affecting us. And Black women have been a part of all of this, right? But then when it comes to something like sexism, colorism, as it affects Black women, no, that doesn't exist. Only until recently have certain people acknowledged that it exists, but then there are still folks that say, nope, 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 nope. That it doesn't exist. You're just making it up. You're making it up. You're just making excuses. However, we as women need to listen to your excuses. Easy says divided on mass in school, the children don't have access to that. Yeah, divided on everything. Like every group of people, we as a people, it's so interesting that we will find things to divide each other. And at the end of the day, these things do not matter. I don't know why we can't come together for the common good of people, but it just doesn't happen. We're so blindsided by our division. And that's where I wanted to take the conversation yesterday. I wanted to get to the point where I wanted to get into more of the divide and conquer mentality of what happened way back in the day, specifically with Black people, and how we're still seeing it today. And it's still working. It is still working. Oh, thank you, Sharky. Oh, the sound could be louder. Ah, okay. I don't have my mic on. I am recording from my phone, so that is probably why. But thank you. And yes, it is an interesting topic. And I really want to have more conversations like this. However, you all know I do get a little emotional sometimes. Generally, I don't on camera do anything, but there are some times where I tear up a little bit because it's heavy topics, right? Whether it's me talking about my scenario or someone else's scenario, it can be heavy. Oh, thank you, Easy. Um, well, thank you for that kind comment. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Rodolin saying, yep, direct projection. I have not experienced this from white men. This is so sad. Thank you. And, again, I will say it's not that I don't feel supported ever by black men. I think there are supportive black men. But why is it that you get a supportive black man and there are other black men ganging up on that person that's supporting you? They're mad at him for supporting you as a woman or doing kind things for you as a woman, and they're upset with you. So I do kind of feel for a lot of black men who are trying to do things right, and then you see hatred among their group, or men telling you not to do certain things. I'm going to be talking about Malcolm X soon, and there's a lot of things that I resonate with in his messages. I think he was a misunderstood man in certain ways, and he was very much ahead of his time, and he really did care about his people, but we just weren't ready to listen. I say we, not that I was around during that time, but the people weren't ready. And yes, I do agree. When I think about a lot of the hateful things that I've heard just over the course of the years, and I will say I have benefited for some. I've benefited from privileges, right? I can acknowledge that. As a woman, there are certain privileges that even I have. As a black woman, there are certain privileges that I have. And I do wonder sometimes if it was because of the fact that I've never really been, oh, I only want to stick to the black community. I've always been a person that I wanted to explore and understand all kinds of people. I can see that you're different from me. That's fine. I want to learn from you. I think that's valuable, right? I see my friend group and I'm like, yes, I want to learn from each of you. I never really stayed within just, oh, I just want to, just the black community. That's it. And I have to say, a lot of different groups of all races, of all different backgrounds, have been supportive of me. And and that's why I say sometimes, and maybe that's why I've gotten some negative feedback sometimes. That's why I do say for black women, yes, you need to make friends with other groups of people. And that includes when you're dating. If you are indeed attracted to people of other races, I don't see why someone being of a different race should hold you up. I don't get the issue in that. I really don't. It boggles my mind when someone's like, nope, they're not black. I can't do it. They look nice though, like I'm attracted to them, but can't do it. Now, I get from some standpoint, some people are. I remember having this conversation with a girl. She was white, Jewish, and she was dating a Nigerian guy, and she really liked that guy, and he told her he could no longer date her because in his family it was very important for him to date and marry a Nigerian woman, and it was very important. So I could totally understand those instances, but that's not really what I've been hearing from people. It's just like, no, I just only black. I don't know. I just can't. It's almost strange in those instances. Oh, good. You're a mod. You are a mod. Thank you, Sharky. Rodolin says, worked her body like a mule. Thank you. And here's the thing that that issue is still happening. Yes, the slavery, and we've had conversation on this channel. I don't think slavery went anywhere, but the slavery part went away. But you're still working. You're still not benefiting from. Again, what were we seeing? Help. That was a key verb in there. Helping these women in the carriages. They're men, like the men are saying. These women need to be helped into their carriages. They need to be helped. They need to be lifted, right? Why is that thinking not resonating fully in our community? Yes, certain men think that, and they're called simps. It's just like, so you mean to tell me this man who he makes an income, whether he has a business or works a job, whatever. He's bringing home the bacon to his family. His wife doesn't need to work. His wife actually supports him in a lot of different ways. He's happy. His kids are thriving. His wife is thriving and, uplifted and helped in all of this. And he's a simp. Okay. There's even a word that is negatively, but I just don't get it. And it's not because necessarily that man, it's because of what he's doing for women. So sometimes I do wonder, is it that a lot of these men just do not like women, that they just hate women? Or is it the blackness? Or is it that they only hate black women because that's where they're birthed from and they don't like being a black man? It's just, I don't get where it's coming from, is basically what I'm saying. I don't understand it. It's either way you look at it, it just doesn't make sense. Easy says Wonderful by Aretha Franklin. I do not know that song. I'm sorry, Easy. That is away from my time. I think the only song I really know by Aretha Franklin is RESPECT. But I will look it up and I will listen to it. She had a beautiful voice. Hello, DOD. Welcome in. And maybe you can provide some context. I am getting closer to the hour mark, so I'm probably going to jump off of here. I do feel I am a little emotional right now. But you guys are helping me get some things off of my chest because, again, going back to seeing Sojourner Truth talk about, again, it's like even still, we're still dealing with this. That man over there says that women need to be helped in the carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me in the carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns and no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? Could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it and bear the lash as well. So she's suffering as well, right along with the black men. And yet, men say, yeah, you shouldn't have the rights. Can't have as many rights as a man because Christ wasn't a woman. I'm over it. I'm like, not over it, but I'm just like, it's just like you look at a black woman's life back then and what really has changed. Yes, we're not physically in slavery anymore, but we're still dealing with a lot of the similar things. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I am just here to have the conversations with you. Maybe an answer will come about, but I just feel like the hatred is so deep for women, for black women. And again, I don't know if it's the blackness that we remind you that you are black, or it's just hatred for women. I don't know what it is at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I do not get it. And what hurts me even more is when we as black women are not coming together. Yes, we're going to have differences. Everyone has differences of opinion, different thoughts, different feelings. Of course, that is life. I think life would be really boring if we were all exactly the same. However, even within our own group, like we should all have the same mission and idea that we should be, as black women, coming together to better ourselves, better each other. And if the men aren't able to help and uplift, then we at least need to help and uplift each other. Right? And we might have to talk about black men in another video, of course, because again, I like to I want to highlight black women, but that's a whole nother story. They have the same issues. The only thing is, okay, all this hatred is going around. Black men are going to send this hatred either to us or maybe to other Black men, which is what we see in our community. Yes, there's going to always be crime, but at the rates that we see. Okay, let me go through some comments. Let me see what's going on. And then I'm getting off of here because I'm trying, you guys know, I'm trying to keep together. I'm trying to like, y'all not gonna see me cry on YouTube or else it's gonna be private. I will switch it to private real quick. King of Kill says, "Sis, don't give up on us. They are vocal minority." I really hope so, King of Kill. I really, really hope so. I hope they are the minority. However, like I said earlier, I just feel like there's one that comes to support you and say positive things, and then there's like four more that are doing the exact opposite. And this can literally be within a day, within a week, within a month. And I will say, I've had as far as things like protection and support and help, I will say generally, I have found that whether it's been within my group of men, Black men, African men, I will say, Black American, African, but then also other groups of men as well. I have seen that. I've also been very, I guess, lucky or blessed to also have a lot of good support among women, Black women, white women, Asian women, Hispanic women. But it's tough when you're getting the support and then the ones that are making the negative, and I have to call out white men too, as well, have been supportive because there's things that are said about white men, like, oh, you need to be afraid of white men, but it's like, no, I'm not going to look at someone and say, yeah, solely because you're skin tone. At least I try not to. Obviously, I talk about biases that do occur in a person based on their experiences, which it does not help when your experiences are negative and it seems to be coming from one particular group of people. But you have to try to fight that a little bit, as much as you can. But so many different groups have been supportive, but it does seem like one particular group just seems to, it's like one person supports you, two people support you, and then 4 or 5 others just knock all of that out of your head. It's like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about you guys because now I'm dealing with this. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but we'll keep talking about it. Maybe not as often, but I will continue having these discussions. And thank you, King of Kill. I appreciate you. You have been one that's been very supportive. DOD has been supportive, even though I know we share some differences of opinions as well. But you have been supportive as well, so I appreciate you also. And I just don't know what the solution is, but I really hope we come up with something. Rhoda says, I feel you, sister. Yes, Black women, we have a lot to work on with each other too. Us realizing who we are and embracing it as a part of our liberation. Definitely. Definitely. I love that comment. I love that. That is so true. Let's stop killing each other. Exactly. Like now there's no reason for other groups to really do much of anything because the community is just taking care of it. That's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you, Percy, for the super chat. Thank you for the $10 super chat. You said, I'm just jumping. Jessica, I'm tired of this gender war, the men against the women and vice versa. I wonder, do the other races have this much vitriol on YouTube, or is it only you? Yeah, or is it only us? I don't know. I don't know. I can say the only times I really see other groups really going at it with each other are because of those traditional things that kind of separate us, right? The religion and the politics. A lot of times, those are the things that really are separating a lot of different groups. And yes, we have that in the Black community. That is probably always going to be there. As a people, we're going to have certain divisions, but it just feels heavier in our community. And I don't know if it's because of how passionate we are or just how energetic we are or what it has to do with. Not to say that other groups are not passionate, but I don't know. I don't know. It is a little draining, and I think that is another reason why I'm a little emotional, just because. And I had to take a little step away from some of the drama that was happening on YouTube. I had planned on talking about two lovely ladies on YouTube that I actually see as having some great points. Do I agree with everything? No, just like a lot of other people in general. But I was looking forward to kind of doing a deep dive with them on their content, and it's just drama, and it's like it's just all this hate, and it was already there, but over the last few days, it's just been ridiculous. It, I don't even know what to say, but again, thank you, Percy. You have a great point. I just looked at your head, and you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I feel like you've changed your name 3 times. That gave me a laugh though. And no, I don't want to see you when you're angry. All love and happiness over here as much as it can be. Rhoda says only us to severity. Yeah. I mean, there's division that happens in other groups, but it goes from, I have a disagreement with you and I don't agree with where you're coming from, to very emotional, and in a lot of instances, which is to the point earlier about the violence, elevates quickly to even violence, or I'm going to ruin you, or I'm going to do this. Yes, that does happen in other groups, but over certain things, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And maybe a big part of it is that a lot of us maybe aren't seeking therapy. I think the main group in the United States at least, that should be benefiting from therapy should be Black people, just because of everything that's happened to us. Like, it, all I'm gonna say about that, there's just a lot to dig in. It's almost like I don't even know where to start sometimes. It's like, where do you even start with us? But we have to start somewhere, and I do think, and I've said this in other videos, we have to start learning how to communicate with each other and work with each other for the greater good, and not just see ourselves in every single situation, but the us. So as Black women, thinking about the us. Yes, I feel like doing this. I feel like yelling at you right now. But you know what? Thinking through this is not good for us. So we're going to take this conversation offline, so no one else gets to see us in this little mess. Those are some things that we need to learn. I would say the same for Black men. I would say the same. Just needing to learn how to come together and work with each other. KB says, and welcome KB, shout out to my members in the chat, there's an article saying that Black people's median wealth is supposed to fall to zero. Yes, I've seen that in 2053. I wish the BC can focus on important things instead of being completely stuck in the past. Yeah, that is a really good point. Really good point. King of Kill says their voices are magnified through social media. It's their only voice in power because they feel powerless in most other situations. You know what? I do agree with you, King of Kill, but I also have heard things to my face, you know, to my face, right? To my face. I would say the positive outweighs the negative, but yeah, I do think people feel empowered once they get online. They can just say whatever. They don't have their face showing. You don't know who they really are. They can use a, anonymous name. We definitely have to call some of this stuff out as Black women. We need to call it out. Like, and I feel like a lot of us will hide certain things or not tell anyone. Generally, as women do tend to do that, and sometimes men when something happens to them. But for women, we do that, and especially Black women. But look, like halfway over. Patrick says the civil rights generation is ultimately responsible for this when they betrayed us. Oh my gosh, we have to have a conversation about that. That will probably come up a little bit in my conversation about Malcolm X. Yeah, yeah. It was more about the I versus what actually is going to help the group. Yeah, definitely. Oh, thank you, DOD. I appreciate that so much. I'm gonna try to get through these comments and I'm gonna call it a night. Easy, did you leave your personal number in the chat? Yeah, I think that automatically is gonna get blocked anyway. Yes, thank you, Sharky. I didn't even see it. Patrick says the civil rights generation took the wealth of their ancestors passed down to them and smoked it up, drank it up. They started fooling around with it. Oh my goodness. We're gonna have to have a follow-up conversation for sure. We gotta have so many conversations. There's like a long list of conversations I want to have. The other races didn't suffer chattel slavery. Yes, and systemic racism and Jim Crow and redlining. That is true. We are a unique case. However, that's not to say that certain other groups have not dealt with issues. But yes, we have dealt with the most. But with saying that, we've dealt with the most. So why aren't we the most focused on generational wealth, like each of us, not just certain people in the community? Because, and I pointed this out in the past, every time I go to like a mall, I see lines of people, oftentimes Black people, shout out Houston, for example, and they're lined up at the Gucci store. What is Gucci doing for you? That's just one example. Why are we funneling money into other communities when our community is in such shape? Another conversation for another day, but it is that, but there are other things too. Part of it is the mentality of the people. What is going on? Oh, DOD, thank you. DOD says man up. I think that's what a lot of women have to say right now. Thank you for that. Thank you. I know that a lot has happened to us, but yeah, at some point it's like, what are we actually doing? And the mentality is in obviously both genders. But it's really tough to see how certain prominent Black men are pushing certain narrative too. So I think there's been a lot of Black people that are, again, working for the I, not looking at the full agenda, not thinking strategically, not thinking, I'm not going to do this even though there is money in it because it's harmful to my community. That more of that thinking needs to be here. Black men need to hold other Black men accountable. I'm going to go back to that and then I'm going to read the super chat. Yes, 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 and yes. Because clearly Black women cannot do it because Black men will come for us if we do. So, yeah, we can't do it. It's got to come from the men. Thank you for that, King of Kill. Thank you, Percy, for the $5 super chat. Jessica, I think our upbringing has a major effect on how we see and interact with the world. I'm still dealing with some issues with my upbringing. That is a great point, Percy. Yes, I do agree with that. And what our ancestors experienced that funnels down to us because we've been taught from our ancestors. Everything has been passed down, and we can even talk about genetics, but what my mom was taught, my grandmother's taught, my great grandmother's taught, right? Yeah. And we have to deal with this stuff. Sharky is saying, Jessica, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry is an incredible Hulk reference. It's a Hulk reference? Oh, yeah, you're right. And I've only watched the Hulk one time. He's not really my favorite Avengers. He's not my favorite. Banner just isn't my favorite. I'm sorry. My favorite happens to be Thor, and you guys know why. I mean, just look at Thor. But no, it goes more than that. I just like his storyline a little bit better. I like his storyline better too. And he's a funny character. Next up was Iron Man. That's like probably my second favorite, just because he's so snarky. All right, getting back to the chat. That lightened it up a little bit. Thank you, Sharky. We're not focused on the things we should because we are the most damaged. Good point, King of Kill. So how do we get through this damage? Like something. So my mom is very Christian, and so there's this song, this gospel song that she would listen to, and it's like break every chain, like the chains are broken. But I'm like, that's a part of the problem. Like, stop lying. Like, these chains are not broken. Like, we need to actually fix something. You carrying this and pushing this Bible around, not that I'm attacking Christians or anything like that, but that is just not the end all be all. We don't go into other communities where the end all be all is just their religion. No, there are actions that we need to do. Yes, your morals will fall in line with your religion. However, people are not going, oh, God will fix it for us. I got to talk about that in another video because there's so many things that are said in the Black church that I'm just like, really? That's what you guys want to teach right now? You have this whole congregation of people, and that's what you want to tell folks. This continuous cycle of woe is me, God's got to fix it, and that's just it. Can't do anything about it. It's all in His hand. Like all of these things, we're gonna have to talk about that. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about it. Patrick says, I think encouraging more men to get educated is a big plus, for sure, for sure. Hey, Natural Larissa, I am about to get off of here. I'm just over the hour mark, and I'm less emotional now, so thank you. I think that has to do with the comments, so I appreciate that. But please, everyone, do hit the like button before you close out of the video. If you have other thoughts, let me know. I will keep this up. I'll keep the video up. But I just wanted to get some things off my chest, especially with looking at Sojourner Truth's words and how I could literally resonate with these words in 2021. And I think a lot of us can resonate with what our ancestors have said hundreds of years ago. And we just shouldn't still be in the same spot. I feel like we're in the same spot. We're not moving forward. And we're going to talk about that more when I get into the breakdown on Malcolm X. Again, I think he was misunderstood. In this video, the key takeaway is that I really want us to continue having these conversations because as Black women, we didn't feel supported then. We didn't feel helped then. We felt overworked then. And many women are still feeling that way today. So how do we fix it? Coming back to Black women and that focus. So, love the support. Thank you, Percy. Thank you, DOD. Thank you, King of Kill. Thank you for a great discussion. Thank you, my moderator, Sharky, Shark FinTech. And then thank you so much. I'm trying to find Patrick and Rhoda. Thank you for my new subby. I appreciate you being here. And for my members, KB and King of Kill, I appreciate you both being here tonight as well. So I'm going to close it out. Thank you again. I appreciate the love and support. That's going to help me. Now think about the love and support, right? With that, I hope you all have a great night, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.